Welcome everyone to Thursday Live. I was going to do the turnaround camera, look at me and talk to you guys for a little bit, but then I'm thinking, you know what, we just need to get down to business. I don't have time to be messing with the cameras and screwing with stuff like that. So we're just going to go for it. And I know Gary will be happy about that. Welcome everyone. Welcome. We're gonna work on this guitar that I started last week. It's a little bit farther than what we did last Thursday because I actually finished I pretty much locked in Dad on the Monday night feed this week, which was a lot of fun. So if you want to kind of see the whole process, you can rewatch last week's YouTube feed if you missed it, and then you can jump to this week's Monday night feed. And if you missed it, and you'll see the whole process for Daddy-O. So that's what we got so far. So what I'm going to do is now I've done this part of Dad. Again, this is going to be the Sgt. Pepper's album cover, the 1967 Beatles release Sgt. Pepper, and I included Dad in here. Timothy John Luke Smith, what's up? James McLean, what's going on? Jesse Swords, what's happening? So that's kind of the rundown on what we're doing on this. I've learned a couple things, and I like to kind of get into. Now, I've known about this album forever, but there's some things I didn't realize about the Sgt. Pepper album. I didn't realize that all these figures here, and if you're a big Beatles fan, you probably already know this. All these figures behind and in front, these were actually there. They're life-size cutouts that were either hand-tinted or just black and white. And then they had the actual Beatles in their costumes come in and stand in the middle of it and took a picture. I always thought all this was added after, but it's not. They were actually all cutouts. So what we're going to do today, I've got Dad pretty much at the point where he's almost done. There's a little bit more like intensity in the darks that I want to put into him, but I want to wait to see what happens all around him first, and then I'll catch, that whole area up at the same time. So what I need to do is I need to put in the figure that's right here, and this is the heavyweight boxer Sonny Liston. And you can only see a bit of him. In one of the photos that's a little bit wider, you can kind of make him all out, but in the guitar, most of him gets cut off. But his boxing robe is there, and I want to make sure I get that in next. Thanks, Tim. Mr. Dan from Indianapolis. I'm amazed. Tim knows where everyone's from. It's crazy. It's awesome. I don't know how he remembers it all. I can't even remember what I had for breakfast. All right, so Sonny's robe is very like iridescent satiny white. So I'm going to try to use some of the guitar color for that. Because of the metallic platinum is really satiny, that same kind of color. So I think that'll work out pretty well. The only thing I'm worried about is any overspray here. So I can't deal with that. Oh, this is something that Tim brought up yesterday on his feed. We were talking about the 4050, which I don't have a bottle of it because I transferred into smaller bottles when I travel. But anyway, the 4050 is a clear UVLS clear from Createx. And what I did was when I was done kind of with Dad, I hit this with the UVLS satin to protect it so it didn't get scratched off. Now, because I did that, I'm not going to be able to erase that little bit of overspray that's on here, which isn't a huge deal, but it would be nice to have been able to erase that and then have a clean canvas to kind of do the rest of the details. So I'm gonna have to work around that. It's not a big deal. Ian Hart, I mailed your painting today. I'm super excited. So Ian, unfortunately, because, international shipping goes to, I was going to say goes to Uranus, but that's not very nice. Goes to Pluto and back before it gets to you. They said about 4 to 6 weeks you will have your painting. So keep an eye out for that. Ian won this week the giveaway on Facebook, on YouTube, one of them. Actually, Steve Butkus won, but then gifted his win, and Ian ended up getting it. So it's on its way. For Cheers today, I'm actually very excited about this. So I know you guys know the story. I started this feed in the early afternoon here in the East Coast or Eastern Standard Time because I wanted something that was more palatable to my UK friends. They stay up real late to watch the Monday night feed. Oh, lights went out. It didn't really go out. This thing is busted. Let me go take care of that real quick, and then I'll be back. I gotta look at that connection on that switch. There's a light switch at the bottom of the stairs, and it's not really working for me. Anyway, Don't make me laugh. Welcome, Mr. Customs. Um, so I wanted to do this feed, earlier in the afternoon, my time, so that the UK and everyone on that side of the Atlantic would have a decent timed feed. So that's where this came from. But the problem is I usually have a toast with my Monday nighters because it's 6 o'clock my time, so it's kind of the end of the day. So I kick back, have a special beer or whatever. And I can't really do that on Thursdays because it's the middle of the day. And if I start doing that, I'll end up sleeping. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool to find something cool? So I went online and I looked up a few things and I came up with this. So this is made by Athletic Brewing Company in San Diego, California, and this is their Run Wild IPA. But look at what that says at top. Non-alcoholic brew. I'm like, that's cool. So when I don't know, I remember non-alcoholic beers when they first started like becoming popular or whatever are out there. And I'm gonna just start working while I'm talking. And they were all like, I hate to say it because O'Doul's is probably decent, but I just remember them all tasting like just weird light beer. And I don't really like light beer a lot. Like if I had a choice, I feel like a beer snob saying this, but if I had a choice between like, drinking light beer and drinking nothing at all, I would drink nothing at all. Because I don't really drink, the beer to get smashed. In fact, I'd rather not. I just like the different tastes and different styles and whatever. So I really like that. It's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like wine. Um, O'Doul's, yeah, exactly. Um, so I never really like looked at it, and it's been years and years and years, and I'm just drinking whatever. And so then I'm thinking, like coming up to today, I'm like, man, you haven't looked at non-alcoholic beverages in forever. There's probably something new out there. And lo and behold, so we're gonna give this a try. I'm gonna open this. All right, so this is their IPA, non-alcoholic. So cheers to you guys. Here we go. It's not bad. It is not terrible at all. Oh, I'm excited. And now, the other thing is this is just as expensive as craft beers. A six pack is about $12, which is not bad, but oh, that's I'm actually surprised. I'm actually legitimately surprised. I'm happy about that. So now, yeah, now we have options. All right. So Sonny Liston's wearing his heavyweight boxing satin robe. So we're gonna kind of put a little bit of tape on here because I'm just gonna be kind of painting this in. Honestly, I don't know about this overspray. I think I can make it work. I just don't want to leave it if it's gonna be a problem. But I don't think it will be. I think we should be okay. Oh, I'm pleasantly surprised. That's awesome. And the other cool thing about this too is it's lower calorie. And I don't think that doesn't have anything to do with the. I don't think it has anything to do with the alcohol content. It's just is what it is. So it's a bonus. Tim, I do have a bunch of the Lifeline, but I haven't really used them. Um, but I know that specifically the way Tim Gore set them up, they're made for what he does. But I could see why you like them a lot because as far as from a portraiture standpoint, they're very, I mean, he does a lot of what he does, the science fiction horror type stuff. But there's still a lot of skin and anatomical colors that he needs, and so I can see why. I mean, you must be having a field day with those colors. Um, so let's start with, I think what I'm going to do is I'd love to keep this guitar color, but I don't want to take a chance. So I'm just going to kind of base this with a kind of ivory color, I think. I figured, and today, Chris Garcia, what's up, buddy? Chris, your stuff went out too. And I know I posted that post, was it yesterday, about my thanks to you guys. And Chris knows that was for him, and it's for everyone who has kept purchasing stuff while I'm on the road and doing super chats and stars and all that fun stuff. I can't tell you, like, I mean, I do my best to take out to show on the road, but I can't take everything, and I find there's a whole bunch of stuff that I can't do, and as soon as that happens, things tend to slow down, And you guys have been really, really good at keeping my spirits up and keeping the ball rolling. So I really, really appreciate that. Cody Adams. I purchased something. No, you didn't, Chris. That's right. You didn't. Well, if you didn't, you're getting something. So, all right, there's that. All right, so I'm going to grab some white here. I grabbed the wrong white. I grabbed the one that's the thinner one, the 1:5. I meant to grab the 1:1, but this is going to work too. So again, what those numbers are, if you're not familiar, the Createx colors are great. You can use them out of the bottle depending on the airbrush that you have. However, for the airbrushes that I have, tends to be a little bit too thick for them, so I need to I need to like kind of thin them down a little bit. So I thin them with their own reducer, which is the 4011 reducer, and that's the ratio that I do it in. All right, come on, I just had it. What happened to it? Can't find my yellow ochre, but I can't find it, so I'm going to use... This brown has been getting a workout. I am short on colors too because I only brought like the basics, but we'll make it work. Wait, what's that? What just happened? Cody Adams, did you become a member? You're the man. Thank you, Cody. I have big plans for membership and Patreon members. This is just a little bit of oh, this is gonna make that skin tone that I use for Daddy-O. I want to use this color. I have big plans for the membership, especially on YouTube. If you're a member on YouTube, you get your name in lights. Cody's got his green name now, and you have the logo after your name. Plus, as you're a member for longer, that logo will change. You know, after 6 months it changes, and then after a year it changes, so you get to look cool. You get your own new shiny emojis, and also I'm working on some other content. There will be a Discord, a special Discord channel or server just for members, both Patreon and YouTube, which will be a lot of fun. So I put a little bit of golden yellow in there, talking and painting. So we want like kind of an ivory. That might have been too much yellow, but we'll figure it out. Brad Mummery. What's up, Brad? All right, that was way too much. You know what it was? It wasn't necessarily too much yellow. It's just that the white was so reduced that the yellow took over. So see how that's basically just yellow in there. So I'm going to spray some of that out, and I'm going to grab the correctly reduced white, which is, I know, oh, that's why it's not around, because I just made some more of it. I swear it just said, let me grab some white hair. Yeah, well, you know. White here. Yeah, I know. I have my Boston accent back now. Marge noticed it. I'm sorry, I might as well just do it. Marge noticed it. When I'm back here too long, I'll just do it. When I'm back here too long, I'll put some more white in here. Yeah, it just pops back. It's funny. All right, so what we're looking for is an ivory, a yellowy ivory color. Actually, maybe not even. We'll go with a yellowish color. That looks better. So what I'm doing too is, like just now, I just sprayed some of this out to get it out of the cup because I don't want to mix like a ton of this. I don't need a bunch of it. So instead of, you know, trying to adjust this color by just adding more and more paint, I just get rid of some of it, and I just sprayed it out into the spray pot. That's better. So that's kind of really pale yellow now. I think that's going to work. Yeah, there's certain words, you know, I just can't wrap my head around. You know, like in New England, the thing you like put like silverware in the kitchen, you know, that little thing you pull out, to me that's a draw. D-R-A-W, not D-R-A-W-E-R. But the rest of the world, it's a drawer. And drawer took me a really long time to say because I just can't wrap my head around it. It's draw. Yes, exactly. And Tim, I'm sure you get this too. It's when you're not in this area, like when you're traveling, like I'm sure you got a lot when you were down in Florida. People confuse Boston and New York accents all the time. Like everyone would always think I was from New York. And I'm like, that's so different. The New York accent is so different than the New England accent, but it's not. It's pretty similar. All right, so there's your yellow. Do I want to use this straight up? Do I? Do I? No. I'm going to add a teeny, 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 teeny little bit of black because I want to kind of kill, not kill that yellow, but I want to kind of take the edge off that yellow in there. So I'm just, I grab the brush and the palette and I just let the paint just kind of flow up into the brush. So there's really just a tiny bit of black in there. And that kind of turns that into more of that olivey, you know, lighter yellow type of thing. You guys eat the Oz. We do. We do. But you know what? And all my UK friends are on. So I always say that the Boston accent comes from the British accent. Because if you listen to a British person say park, they don't say park. They say it a lot like we do in Boston. So I'll leave that one with you. All right. So I'm just going to base this in. Again, this is mostly because I don't want to deal with this overspray from the black part of it. I'd love to be able to use the guitar color, but maybe I'll kind of use it near the edge. I'll fade this out a little bit and let the guitar color take over. That's probably a better way to do it. Yeah, Madge doesn't think so with the England thing. I'm like, no, it's true. Listen to someone with a British accent. They delete the as. When I was just at SEMA, I was hanging out with Gerald Mendez, and he was getting a kick out of my New York. Yeah, see anyone from like that, and you know the same thing's true with Boston. Like you listen to Nub talk, for instance. Nub is not in the city; he's north of the city by a couple hours, right? And he doesn't have that New York City accent. Just like when you hear that traditional Boston accent, that's actually just like downtown Boston. Like my mom lived in Boston, and she has that hardcore Boston accent. That's where it happens. As soon as you like move out of that, like my kids say a few words with that same accent, but they don't talk like my mother. You know, they form a bunch of their R's and stuff. It's really interesting. And then, I mean, Providence is only 45 minutes from Boston, so Providence, Rhode Island, the capital of Providence. East Providence has a completely different accent, and it's like night and day. And my wonderful future son-in-law, who is responsible for my first grandchild, is from East Providence. So yeah, accents are a blast. I love it. All right, so see what I'm doing? So I've got the yellow here along the edge, and that's actually working as the eraser to clean up that overspray. Uh, Again, the overspray wouldn't have really been a problem once I started putting all the shading in, but I just didn't want to take the chance that some of that overspray wasn't in the right spot, because what I'd be doing is using the body color, and then everything on top of this would have to be transparent. Because if I tried to put any kind of white highlights on this, it would have done that, just that gray shifting thing. My mother, my mother, she's wicked pissa. It's so funny because growing up when they'd be, I mean, when you grow up in an area, you don't have an accent, right? Everyone else has an accent. I remember specifically in school when they were talking about different accents and stuff, and they were talking about how like newscasters from New England are never from New England. They always grab them from the Midwest because they don't have the same accent as us. They don't have any accent really. It's just kind of the baseline standard thing. No, no, they don't. They definitely don't talk like us. All right, Sonny, I like your robe. There we go. This is killing me. I'm not prepared. You know what I should have done? When I was out today, I should have grabbed bigger magnets. This guitar does not want to stay here, and I can't use the other magnets because they have the little screw heads, the screw bodies on them, and if I put this down and the guitar like hits the threads, it's going to scratch it. I have these little bullet magnets that I use for my knives, and this is what I'm using to hold it up. But I could use one or two more. I didn't bring anything that would work, huh? This is what I'm talking about. I'm not prepared. So I've been working on the 543s for this week. I got the first one done. Unlike last week, I'm not going to show you. So you're gonna have to come Monday. But I've got another great five, man. You guys did it again, killing it. It was like I didn't even get through all the comments before I had five of them. That's how it usually goes. And then like I regret it later on because then I'll be looking through the rest of them like, oh my God, that's a good one. So, but I needed to start them. I need to get them done. So. Live Coast Airbrush stuff. Time to play nice, Chris. I have an order coming from Dick Blick here. It's not very exciting. It's a paintbrush and some more Yupo paper because all my Yupo paper is at home and I'm running out. Oh, that's amazing. I'm super happy about that. Wow. I feel like I'm being bad, but I'm not. All right. Yeah, this is not working for me. What am I going to do here? Let me have to do some MacGyver shite. Because every time I touch this, it moves down. Yeah, you know what? I'll just deal with it, and then I'll figure it out for next time. Made my Dick Blick order this. Yeah, actually. And you know what? Another big thank you and goes to Createx. Man, I told them this week that I was in a bind. I've run out of a few things that, again, I didn't think I'd need a whole bunch of, but I've been here a long time. I only really had about 3 weeks worth of supplies, and I'm going on. We're working on the fifth week right now. And I just started running out of stuff. So there was, I'm in New England and it's been, hovering around freezing. So shipping paint is always a scary thing in the wintertime because this stuff doesn't like to freeze. What I'm doing is I'm cutting out there's like a gold satin type of color on his robe. So I'm just cutting that out. I'll base that in and then I'll be able to continue on. So I mean, my options here in New England, and Chris can attest to this, I can order from Spray Gunner, which is good because they're down in Florida and half of the trip is going to be warm. It's just the half up here that's going to be, interesting. But I talked to the folks at Createx and they're like, yeah, just, we'll get that out for you. So I got some base coat sealer coming from them, which is awesome. So again, this is going to bug the crap out of me. What can I do here? What am I going to do here to fix this? Oh, because Dad's shop has everything. I'm going to put you guys on hold for a second. I'm just going to go grab a couple of clamps, wood clamps. I'm going to put them at the bottom here. It's right. The clamps are right here. I'm in the studio or at Dad's shop right now. Let's see. What's going to work here, Daddy-O? Because Dad's place has everything. Yeah, Dad's shop has literally everything. All right. So let's try these. So these are just spring clamps. I'm going to put these down. Oh, will they fit down the bottom? No, they won't fit down the bottom. So that's not going to work. Okay. Plan B. What is plan B? I don't know. See, it doesn't matter with the 543s because I got the holder for it and they just stay where they're supposed to be. I should have probably thought of that. Okay, well, we'll just go with it. I don't know. All right. I'm guessing Chris isn't the person that gets real quiet when someone knocks on the door. Me neither, however, I doubt Chris answers the door in the dead of winter wearing only underoos. I know, Brad. Yeah, exactly, Brad. Brad, it keeps getting worse. I keep talking about, I hope that I inherit my dad's drill press. He has an old Delta machinist's drill press that's absolutely insane. I love it. I've always loved it. He's had it for a long time. And I hope when they decide to do what they're going to do with Dad's tools, that comes with me. But I keep talking about getting into wood turning, and now I would love to have like a small machinist's lathe, something to do metal as well. So. Yeah, because I have plans, man. I have plans. All right, so there's the the gold part of his robe. And what I'm going to do is extend. And notice how I put one template right over another, because I'm going to do all the folds and wrinkles in this plant here eventually. So I'm going to want this part blocked off anyway, so I don't have to remove it. I can just put the other one right on top of it. It really kind of speeds things up. So I am going to put a piece of tape down here though, so that since the copy doesn't go far enough to, kind of go off the thing. I got a big steak shouting at me. Enjoy, guys. Once again, Steve, thank you for all you do later. Ian, awesome. Enjoy that steak. Yeah, Brad, I haven't done any looking yet, but I'd love to find one that will do both. So I know the machinist lathe are much more, I don't, I definitely don't want, the real machinist lathe, the big one that has all the variable gears and all that stuff, threading type of stuff. But I want to find something that I can turn aluminum on, and I'm not sure. I got to start doing some research on that. Maybe you can turn aluminum on a wood lathe. I don't know. But I think you have to control the speed quite a bit. So, yeah, I have a little bit of learning curve to do, but I'm glad I figured that out now. What I may end up doing is just getting a small pen lathe for what I want to do with the knives and pens, and then get something else after if I really, really enjoy it. What do I do with my... Oh, wait. Oh, boy. Come on. And then the other thing, too, I've been thinking about, I'm super excited about this. And I don't know. I really want to build, I know I talked about it, build like a portable airbrush station thing. Some self-contained thing that I could just throw in the car and go. I'm really, and I've got the plan. I need to finish the plan, but it's also, I need to buy a new compressor for it. And the compressor that I'm looking at is the same one that I have here. It's just would be a new version of it. And it's the 30TC from Silent Air, and it's still about $700. Totally worth it, because literally that compressor's right on the floor next to me. This is the same color yellow. I'm just going to add some red oxide to it, and that red oxide will play off of the yellow to give me that kind of golden orange color. So I want to come up with this mobile thing that originally I wanted to make sure it fit in my car. I have a real small car. I have a coupe, but I think I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to just build the thing and make it the way I want it to, and then worry about what vehicle it fits into later. If it's bigger, then that's it, because I have some real specific ideas about it. Like I said, I want it to all be self-contained. It's going to use like the actual Visionaire desktop thing on the top of it, and I got a good plan, but I'm gonna have to build the case for it, and I don't know, it's gonna be fun. I never got the one that will fit in the back of an SUV. You'd have to roll it up on a ramp. Yeah, so that's the other thing too. This compressor itself has some weight to it, so when I put everything else that I have planned for it, this thing is going to be reasonably heavy. So I got to figure out what I'm doing with that too. Steve, there we go. What's up, Steve? Ian just left, so thank you again for your awesome generosity. All right, so there's my kind of orangey golden yellow. That's going to be my base color for the gold here. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, Brad, what you're talking about. I love that. That was cool. I thought you were talking about what I was talking about. Yes. Yeah, those are the pictures that you sent me, Brad, right? That was really cool. Yeah, I was funny because I was just resketching it, because I have a sketchbook that I bring with me when I travel, and the last time I did anything in that sketchbook was my plan for that travel thing. So I'm excited. Bobby Silva, what's up, fellow Massachusettsian, Cape Codian? All right, so there's Liston's thing. Oh, thanks, Steve. That was awesome. Yeah, Ian just signed off. He has a big fat steak waiting for him, which honestly, don't really blame him. Okay, so there's the gold. See what I mean about leaving that other one on there? So now that's still in the right place, and I can just kind of roll with it. I'm going to make my life easy because we're all about easy. I'm going to block in the plants, whatever this palm, I think it's palm leaves or whatever. They're all over the place. Incidentally, can't show you because it's taped down, but you can kind of get a feel for this now. So there's Paul and Ringo, the wax figures. That's supposed to be Lennon. I never thought the wax figures looked like who they were supposed to. They just put a giant nose on Ringo, and they said, "Yeah, you're Ringo." Um, so what I have is, and I can't show you because it's all taped down. I'll show you before the end of it. So I've put Ringo's hand on Dad's shoulder, which I thought was kind of fun. So what I need to do is I need to cut out a quick template for those plants just to kind of get them roughly in. Oh, that's the wrong side. The top folds down on it, but it's heavy. That's why it's on casters. Yeah, yeah. That's what what I was thinking for what I was building was that I would get one of those light duty retractable like folding trucks, two wheelers, so that because at first I wanted to have wheels on it, but then I'm thinking, you know what? Are you trying to do too much here? You're trying to like include everything in there, and you don't really have to. Like I would love it if it was all included in one, but with the weight that I had planned for it, that it looks like it's going to be, to get like some sort of caster, retractable caster thing, just I don't know. I couldn't really figure it out, so I ended up cutting my losses with that and changing the plan so that you would just. I mean, it's got big handles on the side, like an amplifier, big amplifier handles. But yeah. All right, so there's my Sunny Liston, and there's all the plants, and I could just paint these in, but it's just as easy to kind of cut them out and keep them the way they really are. And I'm just going to do the main ones. I don't have to do all of them. Just want to start getting some of them in. In fact, I can't do all of them because once they start crossing over, then the middles will fall out. Like the areas that are in between. Like there's a small palm leaf kind of cutting across these guys here. So if I do that, then this piece will fall out, and I don't want that. You all about easy, can't even see the things you do. Nice. Well, all right, I try to make things easy. It doesn't always work that way, but I try. And it's times like this, well, there's a lot of times, but this is one of those times that I would really, really love to have my dad around, because my dad was the master at that, designing things like that and figuring out all the problems with it and working around those problems and then ultimately building it. And the best thing about Dad was he overbuilt everything. We used to say anything he built would withstand the apocalypse. So that's really the way I want to build this thing. And he would have been perfect for that, to bounce stuff off of. And again, I just think about him all the time. Amar, what's up? Freehand drawing, always. Well, sort of. A little bit of both. Again, the nice thing about this technique is, and I was just watching Jessie Madeira do one of her, she was actually doing a panel. However, she was talking about how she uses the same technique of the Seurat transfer, and then she does a lot of the bulk of her work is freehand. And I love the way she kind of explained it. It's the way I try to like explain when people ask me too. You kind of just gotta do what works for you and what works for the piece that you're working on. And that's how any of us really come up with any of this stuff. It's like you try one way that you see someone do it, and yeah, some of it works for you, but you're like, this doesn't help me much at all. So you replace that one little bit with something from someone else that works for them, and all of a sudden you've got your own thing, and it works for the way you paint. And that's the goal. That's what we're looking at. Thanks, Brad. I hope so. For retractable casters, look into the woodworkers use heavy saws. They can roll them around and lift up the casters. Thank you. That's awesome. I haven't really looked to see what's out there for hardware and things like that, but it'll be really fun to design this thing and get it. It's going to have, well, I'm going to say it in New England. It's going to have draws in it for the paint and stencils. The front and back are going to be removable, so they'll actually become additional tables like workstations, and then the Visionaire setup will sit right on the top, clamp in on the top. So when it's done, it'll be, it'll have power in it. So you plug the one plug in, and now you have power for the lights and the compressor and all that fun stuff. And I got a good buddy who's an electrician who I can lean on for that. So yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Yeah, exactly, Brad. I've seen those. I've seen the really cool like aluminum. Harbor Freight is a bunch of stuff. So again, I think unless I can find a really slick retractable caster that works really well. Ideally, that's the best because that's cool as shit, really. If everything's like self-contained, like you literally have a box when you're done, that would be the best. But again, I'm trying to temper my expectations in case what I want and what I can get are two different things. Please tell me I brought moss green. Hold on, let me go look in the paint box. I need moss green for this. I have the phthalo green, but it's gonna mean I'm gonna have to, oh, I got it, good. If I had used phthalo green for this, I would have had to do a lot of jazz to it, tone it down because it's so vibrantly green. But moss green works well. And this I would normally put into the bigger micron, but I'll use a smaller one just so I don't have to clean out I'm gonna have to clean the brush anyway. All right then. All right, and I know we don't have our lovely special timekeeper. I know Honey's probably doing honey things, working and saving people and all that. I'm going to try to keep an eye on the time. I do need to bug out in about 20-ish minutes. So we're going to get as much done as we can because, well, we got a lot going on here. And tomorrow I'm going to be running around a lot, which means I got to really, really bust my those 543s out as fast as I can so that I can get most of them done so I have them ready for Monday. So unfortunately, that means I'm going to have to not run for a couple hours today, and then I'll also give you another special It's Coming thing. So we were talking about Spray Gunner earlier, and if you've seen the, we could talk later and I'll give you details on how I put mine together if you like. Yes, please, Brad, absolutely. So we're talking about Spray Gunner down in Florida, and if you've been keeping up with Createx's YouTube channel, which you should be, they just had Gerald Mendez on, and Gerald Mendez painted these two metal train cars, and he did this crazy Gerald Mendez space, ocean, fire, Phoenix scene on these two cars, and it really is cool. They're kind of like just steel or metal, like folded metal models, I guess. So Artem had sent me a message and said, hey, you saw the Createx thing. Well, they also make this other one that's more like a plane, or it is a plane. And he said, would you be interested in painting one? And I'm like, absolutely. So when I get back from Massachusetts, we talked about maybe shipping it here, but I don't have the stuff I need for it here. It's going to be all candies and things like that. But I said, as soon as I get back, we'll do it. And what I'm going to do is I will record as much as I can of it as more kind of a how-to, and then I will distribute that wherever it needs to be distributed. So if Createx wants to run with it, I'll give them first dibs. If not, I'll put it on my YouTube channel under Model Monday. And if Spray Gunner wants to use it for something, then I'll give it to them or whatever. So it'll be a lot of fun. They have a pretty clear idea of what they want to do with it, and I have an additional idea, so it'll be fun. All right, so to get this to sit down right, this again, the guitar rolls over like this. So there are a couple ways to do it. I could try to hold it down, but I think I'm going to make my life easy, and I think I'm going to tape it down to the side, because this is not going to go all the way to the edge, because I started fading everything out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take each little bit here, and I'm just going to kind of tape it down, because I really don't care about what happens at the very edge of this, because I'm not going to get there with it. That train, yeah, Dan, wasn't it insane? Hello, Dan, by the way. I didn't say hello when you jumped on. Yeah, of course, Gerald is Gerald and he just does everything over the top. But what I was, again, blown away with Gerald is one, he has a great ability to explain what he's doing. And what I love about his stuff is it is over the top and crazy, but once he explains it, you're like, oh, I get it. Like I think I might be able to do that. It's the great thing about Gerald. And what I'm doing is I'm taking this one piece of tape. You can't really see it, it's off the side, but I'm just cutting off little strips of it to get it to hold down. So yeah, watching that video was like, that's so cool. Like the effects he gets and the way he kind of pulls that off, it's just so Gerald. It's amazing. All right, what am I gonna do here with this one? I'm just gonna tape it right down. There we go. It's good. Yeah, I know Tim's been working with the candies a little bit, which doesn't surprise me because I think they will perform once he gets them dialed in. They'll do a lot of the same thing that his ink does as far as being really transparent. So it's going to be fun to see what Tim does with those as well. I don't work I mean, I do work transparently, but it's a scale for me. Like I have to have some body there eventually. So again, the candies aren't something that I use a whole bunch of, but when I need them, it's nice to have them. There we go. I knew Tim was starting to get into using them. Again, if you want a completely transparent experience, that's the stuff to try. And they are, compatible with the whole line. So it uses 4050 as a binder, or the 6000, the transparent base. It uses the same reducer, 4011. So it's not like if you're using Createx already that you're gonna have to change your whole system. Like if you were using House of Color candies with your Createx, which you can do, the solvent-based candies introduce an entirely different system. Obviously solvent-based, so your reducers are solvent. You now have to seriously think about safety. You have to think about safety all the time when you're spraying, but you really can't spray automotive paints in your house because it's not good for you, number one, but the smell is intrusive. You go nose blind pretty quick to it, so you won't smell it, but everyone else will. Plus, like I said, it's solvent based, so it's dangerous. It's a little bit more dangerous than the Createx. But with the Candy 2.0, it's water based anyway, and you just roll with it. So it's a lot of fun. All right, so there we go. So there is I'm gonna pull this off now. So now, again, everything is kind of blocked in on Mr. Liston that I need. Come on now. This FBS tape is great. It doesn't really stick like crazy to like non-porous surfaces, but you put this stuff on paper and it's like it's like I've replaced your adhesive with super glue. Enjoy the ride. It's crazy. All right, so there we go. So I'm going to just pull this off this way because it's going to be a whole lot easier than trying to pick each one of those off. There we go. All right, so now everything's blocked in there. I worked in solvents once. I got a sore throat. Scary. Yeah, it doesn't take long. And, most solvents don't need your lungs to get into your system either. So, it gets in through your eye pores. It gets in through your skin. It's just, there's a reason why people who paint cars wear full suits and ventilation systems and all that. So, yeah, if you can avoid it if you don't have the correct safety setup, it's a super good idea to find another option just for your health. Really. And again, water-based candies were not a thing for a long time, so there was no other option. If you wanted to have that really super transparent feel, and you wanted to airbrush, you would have to use automotive candies, or you'd have to use transparent inks. Now, Tim can tell you that there is a lot of transparent inks out there that are not light fast, which is which is good for illustrators back in the day. They when I started, they always recommended, using ink or something like that. And I did a lot of paintings with ink. But what would happen was with the illustrators, they would do their artwork. It would immediately get captured, photographed. They'd use it in the ads, and you'd be off and running. They cared about the originals, but they didn't care about the originals like a piece of fine art. They just knew that it was for that one moment. And that's a problem. If you do this great piece of art and using non-light fast inks, there won't be anything left over time. Now, Tim's India ink is not the India ink is made differently than the stuff I'm talking about, the colored inks that aren't light fast. Obviously, Tim's inks will hold up the test of time forever because it's a different system. But you have to really look, and like I know companies will put on them, they have to, whether they call them fade proof with inks, and that's if you want to use ink and you want it to last. You either have to do that or you have to take exceptional care of it. And again, even with exceptional care, sometimes that's not gonna help. So I had one painting I did in ink, and it was flowers, and it was actually, so I had that show at the library. So the director of the library, back when I was in like in college and involved with the art association in town, I had done a painting of some violets or something for the director of the library, because he was so helpful with our art organization. And I saw her later, like much later, like 10 or 15 years later, and she said, "Yeah, I love my painting, but it's gone. It's like it's all washed out, and because I did it in ink." So be careful. And if you have any questions about ink, Tim is the resident expert. So keep in touch with him. If you're watching this after the fact and the comments aren't quite there, it's Timothy John Luke Smith. So you can find his channel on YouTube. He's also on all the platforms, but YouTube is where he does a lot of his content. So hit him up for your ink questions. It's still a fantastic. I mean, when you don't have pigment in the liquid that you're spraying, it sprays awesome. You're not fighting it. You just don't have that paint buildup that you do with a pigmented paint, and that's what ink affords you. So it's huge advantages to it, but you have to know what you're getting into. All right, I'm done with that. Yeah, it's the paint technology has come quite a ways, which is what I was going for originally with that particular rant. Now, as of the last 5 or 6 years, we have a viable water-based candy, which is light fast. It's automotive grade. It's totally transparent. There's no solid pigment in it. It's dye-based. It's just glorious. Plus, the other fun thing about ink, and not all ink, but some inks, and Tim can attest to this, is some inks are flammable. So you put them in an airbrush and start spraying them all over the place, and now you have a flamethrower. So there's that too. 3, what's up, man? James, have a good one, man. So that's what that basically boils down to across the board, no exceptions, 100%. If you're gonna spray, if you're gonna use an airbrush, you have to be conscious of what you're spraying, period, no matter what. Even if it says it's non-toxic. I mean, Createx is great, but it's still liquid plastic, and your body doesn't like breathing liquid plastic. So there's your PSA for that. All right, I'm going to start this. We're probably pretty close now. Yeah, we got about 12, 15 minutes. I'm going to start kind of doing the next stage, and you'll kind of get the idea, hopefully. What I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to start with just straight up black. Normally, I'd pick like an intermediate color for this, but I think I'm going to put the values in with the black and then tint it after. And the reason why is because that's the vibe for this whole album cover. It's all, like I said, it was all black and white, full-size cutouts that were hand painted, hand tinted. So I think the Sonny Liston thing was a wax statue, but still, it's got that same vibe. So I'm gonna keep that going. So I'm gonna start with the values with the black, a really thin black, and then after I'll go in and tint it with like browns and yellows and things like that. Better not have a cigarette hanging out of your mouth when you're spraying then. Yeah, my gosh. Oh, yeah. And that goes true. I mean, obviously, you go into an automotive place that does body work, and you will. Well, if it's a good shop, you'll never see anyone smoking because, yeah, you can cause some serious problems. Automotive paint is also flammable, as you would probably guess. Again, Createx is not flammable though. Again, you still don't want to be breathing it, and I say that as I'm sitting here spraying without a mask. So do as I say and not as I do. I do wear a mask, especially when I'm doing like a larger area. Anything in the little spray booth that I do, like when I'm basing something, I'll have a respirator on. For the general air, well, for live feeds, I never wear a mask just because you'd never hear me. But but yeah, for general airbrushing like this, I'm putting on so little paint that I feel like I can get away with a little bit more. Um, but again, that's no excuse. That's no excuse. The masks now that they sell are super comfortable. If you got a good N95 mask, that would pretty much do the job if you're doing airbrushing like this, where you're not hosing things down. And then if you really want to step it up, the RZ masks, those RZ masks are super comfortable. I have one of those too, and the filter in that is replaceable. So you could just wear that all day. It's great. Adequate ventilation, of course, is something that you want. So have a room that you can change the air around, and you'll be in good shape. Don't forget to smash the like button. Thank you, Bradley. Yes, interaction makes the algorithm monster happy, so I appreciate it. Any of your comments and your likes. That's always appreciated. Yeah, this is the right way to go. The opaque black, which is what I'm using from Createx, talk about it a lot. It has a very like warm brownish cast to it, which is perfect for this kind of stuff right here. Because again, the whole thing has got a very black and white, old school, hand tinted vibe to it. So yeah, Tim, it's Tim. If you get a chance, just look up that RZ mask. I love mine. I love mine so much. I wore out the first one. I broke there's little plastic like locks to hold the filter in inside, and I broke it. I used it so much. It's just really comfortable, Tim. Easy. It is N95, so it's going to protect you. But it's just the strap is Velcro and it goes around the back of your head. It's not like the one that goes behind your ears, which bugs me. They I don't know. I just end up it hurts after a while. Um, but yeah, the RZ mask is good. It's again, it's a bit of an investment, but it's the comfort of it is worth it for me. And I know you can get them in a bunch of different places. I usually get mine from Coast, but if you look up just RZ mask online, you can find them in a lot of different places. So. All right. Yeah. So again, this you can't really see it. It's off the side of the page, but the colors are shifting all around in here. Like in the gold, there's a lot of browns and things like that. And again, what I'll end up doing is just taking this black, which is fairly warm as it is, and then just tinting it later with a brown and oranges and a little bit of yellow. There's some neat in the satin down the bottom here of his robe. There's a lot of yellow ochre too, and all that will sit on top of the black. So we're talking about the candies and everything, and that's really the way I'm painting. I'm intending on having a lot of this black be shifted to another color just by lightly going over it with a color. So that's the advantages of working transparently. You could do that as opposed to just kind of working in a real opaque way where you basically mix the color and then that's what you spray and you keep repeating the process, which is another great way to do it. Again, it's just whatever really is working for you. They all give a different look too. Like if you paint in all opaques, the way I describe it to people is it's, and this is not, set in stone, but what it reminds me of is that really thick, like solid. When you see it like a water, I mean, an oil painting, even though there are a lot of glazes that people use with oil paintings and all that. I'm talking about that really solid, like you can climb into the painting feel, like you know what I mean. Where if it's a watercolor, and again, there are exceptions to this. Watercolor paintings can look very solid, but for the most part, you can see the paper through it. It's what makes a watercolor painting kind of unique. That the transparent colors allow the light to go through them and then hit the surface and then bounce back, and it's very stained glass and blah blah blah. It's the same thing with an airbrush. If you use a lot of super transparent colors like candies, the painting tends to be jewel-like, tends to glow. Where if you're using a lot of opaque colors, it tends to be very solid. And again, there are of course exceptions, but it's neat how and it always has been this way. The medium and the tools you choose will often influence what the painting looks like in the end. What I may do, this phone is, I'm using my phone for the feed. This phone is exceptional with time lapses. I may do a few time lapses while I'm working here. Again, I'm not going to be able to pick this up, the guitar, until I get the 543s done. But in order to kind of keep content going, I might do some time lapses just so you kind of see the end of this. Oh, I'm glad, Tim. Yeah, safety is definitely the most important. I mean, there are so many old school automotive guys that are paying the price now because safety wasn't as, I mean, yeah, some people will say everyone dreads OSHA coming into their shop and all this stuff. First of all, if you're doing things right, you have nothing to worry about. But yeah, in the old days when you couldn't tell someone what to do and all that, I mean, a lot of those old time guys are paying for that now. I never wore a mask. Or they're welding without a mask. They're just using the handheld or whatever. Getting a suntan on their eyes. So, I screwed that up. All right, so this will be a good spot to probably hold off. I'm going to peel this just so you can kind of see it, but I'm also going to take the last few minutes of the feed to fix one little spot here, just to show you how easy it is when you don't spray it with 40 whatever, meaning the UVLS, this stuff here. This is the satin, so this is 4051. The gloss is what I use mostly for mixing and things like that, and that's the 4050. All the same stuff. They just add a little bit of they add whatever it is to make it satin or matte in the mix, but it's the same product. Okay, so there's my Sonny Liston kind of blocked in. Yeah, I did the top. The other thing too is I kind of got to fix that up there. This arch here is too much. It should come back in, which I can do. This is just black right here. All right, so what I was looking at was where the plant comes across his, oh no, it does come across his arm. I don't have to fix it. Duh. All right, anyway. I thought his arm came in front of the plant, but it does not. So, all right. So there we go. Farmers that use to stir chemicals with their bare arm. Yeah, it goes on and on. Like I have a buddy, a real good friend who does tree work, and he comes from a long line of guys that just did tree work, but before there was any kind of safety. He's showing me picture of these saws that they would use that are like if OSHA saw them today, like these movable table saws that they used to cut firewood with, that it could easily mess people up. There's no guards on them. It's just a blade, and they sit in front of it between their legs, that kind of thing. Just insane. The shop I used to have, the studio I used to have was in a sign company, and the stories they used to tell me about the sign guys was out of control. Like, all right, so you have a bucket truck, like the stuff you see the electric guys working working the lines. They get the bucket on the little crane thing on the back of the truck. So there are guys that would then put a ladder inside the bucket because the bucket wasn't tall enough. So they'd have a ladder inside the bucket and climb up the ladder. I mean, really? Anyway. All right, kids. That's what I got. I know it wasn't super exciting today, but we got to talk about a bunch of stuff. We got to find that there's actually a viable non-alcoholic IPA. Athletic Brewing Company makes Run Wild IPA, and it's good. It's good. So there you go. If you are interested, please come back on Monday on Facebook at 6. I don't know what I'm going to be working on. I only have 3 projects here that I can work on, so it'll be one of them. And I appreciate your likes. I appreciate your comments. You guys are the best. If after the fact someone throws a super thanks on there or super chat, it pops up for me, and I will send you a personalized thank you, because that really is what keeps things going here. And that's what I got. So enjoy your weekend. Be good to one another. And don't do anything stupid. All right, guys, I love you. I'll check you guys next time. Thanks a lot.